My guest, Ed Rigsbee, is an author, speaker, and executive director of a charity he co founded. He conducts business in three key areas: association management, services for professional speakers, and services for associations and societies. He's with me today to share his expertise. Ed, I'm so happy to have you with me today.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
It's going to be a great conversation. I just know it. So, why don't we just jump right in and have you start by telling everyone what it is that you do, and then, kind of more importantly, why you do it?
Sure. I have my feet firmly planted on both sides of the fence when it comes to the world of association management and speakers speaking to associations, selling to associations. So my background has been a professional speaker for 30 plus years.
Okay.
I got into association management about 20 years ago when I started the Cigar Pig charity, which was loosely connected to the National Speakers Association. So playing on both sides of the fence, because I'm paid a small stipend to be the executive director, that allows me to be a professional CEO at American Society of Association Executives and get into their groups and all that. So I'm playing on both sides of the fence. I mean, I don't spend as much time running around the country speaking. After COVID, I kind of decided, oh my God, this is really fun being home, because I've been married 48 years, and most of my married life I've always traveled. And
And so, are you still married today?
yeah, it used to be like when I was becoming a pain in the neck, my wife would say, well, isn't it time for you to get on a plane? Don't you need to go somewhere? I used to joke about the secret to a long marriage is one spouse always traveling. I've evolved and morphed to where, I've been teaching speakers how to sell to associations since the mid 1990s, using my system of going in the back door through the editor, let the editor tell you who the actual decision maker is rather than trying to crash through the gatekeeper. So, I've been doing that for years and years and years and years because that's how I went to market myself. Fast forward today, I'm sitting here. I'm running an association CEO group every Tuesday on Zoom, and going over the issues of association CEOs. Then Wednesday, I'm running a speaker group that wants to sell to associations in the morning. And then Wednesday midday, at least Pacific time, I'm running the Cigar Pig group. So I've got myself thoroughly involved. And then with Cigar Pig, we started the Virtual Speakers Hall of Fame and all these showcases to help people get business with the association market. And then this summer, the Cigar Pig, we're going to have a booth at ASAE to promote the Virtual Speakers Hall of Fame. So it's just a lot of my ideas were kind of, were like silly harebrained ideas, but then evolved into being something. So, just kind of run with it.
Yeah, right. And so you have a community now, Association and Society Speakers Community, ASSC. So tell us more about that.
Well, it's been going about a year, and Aiden Crawford and I decided to take the materials from my Selling to Associations website, take the materials from the live intensives I did in Las Vegas, and build something within a community, charge a subscription price, very, very reasonable subscription, and feed this community. Here's how to get business, not here's how to be a better speaker, not, but here are the places. Look under this rock, look under that rock, look under this rock. And doing that by doing interviews with association decision makers, people that do hire speakers so they can learn from that, doing various workshops, doing weekly Zoom calls, and everything around, okay, we're not really worried about how to make you a better speaker, go somewhere else for that. But what we're about is we're going to show you where and how to go get business. If
Yeah.
you just do what we say. Now that's the big killer. It's always, well, Ed, it sounds good, but oh man, that's
That
too much
sounds
work.
hard. I can't do that.
I just want to
I
send
work
out
for other
emails.
people.
Yeah, well, that ain't going to work then. But if you just do what we say, we've proven year after year after year after year, and like a lot of the things that are going. I mean, speakers are coming back and say, yeah, like one gal, she was talking to me, says, yeah, I watched your interview with the people from the American Bankers Association. I contacted them the way they wanted to be contacted. They booked me for their women's meeting. And I said, that's great. Her name was Jennifer. I said, great, Jennifer, that's awesome. Now let's look at all their other meetings. What about all these other meetings? Maybe you can speak at them. Let's look at all the state associations. Maybe you can speak there. So taking it, it's like, let's look deeper, deeper, deeper. Where is the business? How to go after the business? How to kind of laser into one or two industries rather than shotgun all over the place. How to get known in an industry and how to leverage that. So, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. I have to say that the feedback I'm getting, a lot of the speakers really enjoy the interviews I do with association CEOs and other decision makers, because that way they get to hear it quote from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the community in a nutshell.
And is that for people who want to be professional speakers or people who want to use speaking to grow their business by getting exposure and, in front of an audience?
Yes and yes. It's fascinating to me how many different kinds of people have joined the community for very different reasons. I'm actually very surprised. If you're a speaker and you want to get paid, well, it's obvious what's for you in the community. If you're a person that wants to use speaking as a way to grow your business, and there's a lot of people that do that, especially people that are in legal services or in dental or chiropractic, physical therapy, a lot of professionals, that they go into the community, speak at Rotary clubs and Kiwanis clubs and this and that and the other. And the process is kind of the same, whether you're trying to get engagements where you can leverage and talk about your business, or whether you get paid. I mean, the process is the same. Showing people how to get to the decision makers is the same. And so it's just what is your back end strategy? Walking away with a paycheck or walking away with a bunch of clients?
Yeah.
How to get there is effectively the same.
And so I work with some people who use speaking to get clients. And one of the things that they struggle with is getting the names of the audience members, or getting people to raise their hand, or even if they do raise their hand and say, I'm interested, I'll fill out your little card. Then when they go to follow up with them, they kind of ghost them. So do you have any tips for those people?
Yeah, well, I give an example of something that I like to do. So I like to speak at societies of association executives, because in the audience is a whole bunch of people that can hire speakers.
Yeah.
And one of my little tricks is, and there's lots of little tricks, whether you want to use texting services or various other things, but I'm a baby boomer. I do it analog. So, and that's just the way I do it. It doesn't mean anybody else has to do it that way, but I'll be going, and I load into the front of a presentation a lot of information, and I machine gun it out there, and I wait about 5 or 6 or 8 minutes until people are feverishly writing, and then I play dumb farmer. I go, oh, I'm sorry, sorry to see you guys just killing yourself trying to write down notes here. Can I make your life easier? And everybody's going, well, yeah. I go, how about this? Just if you want the content. Because I got to strip out all the pictures from the PowerPoint, because I use a lot of pictures. I got to strip out all the pictures. It's too big of a file. But if you just want the content, drop off your card, write PowerPoint, and either later today or tomorrow, I'll strip all of the pictures and make it as a PDF file, and I'll email it to you, and you'll have everything, so you don't have to take notes. and I would say a good half the group drops off the card.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's good enough. I don't have time to reach out to everybody. I only have time to reach out to people that care about me. So, so if somebody drops off the card, I send them the PowerPoint like I promised. And I kind of figured, well, that gives me permission to contact them. And I'll contact them and on the phone. And I use kind of like 3 or 4 benign questions first before I get into the meat of it. And hey, just following up, did you get the PowerPoint? Yep, got the PowerPoint. Very good. Have you been able to use anything from the presentation? This, that, or the other. Have you joined my my LinkedIn member ROI group? Oh, okay. Hey, have you gone to my article bank and used any of my articles, or given that information to your editor? And just all these benign questions.
Yeah.
And then then I kind of shift gears and go, hey, by the way, is there any chance in the next month we might be able to do business? And they kind of just slip that right in there. And we may talk about doing some business together, or we may not. And if we don't, then I move into, hey, is there anybody you can refer me to? You've seen me do the presentation. You got some colleagues that you think would, so I'm looking at how to get value from it. And sometimes the people will, the person I talk to says, I really like this. This might be great for this conference, that conference. Call me back in 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 days, whatever. And I think that the thing where a lot of people in business really don't do a good job of is accurate follow-up. You got to make sure you got, in whatever kind of CRM you use, it doesn't matter. Just use some kind of CRM and customer relationship management system. And whatever CRM, even if you just do it as simple as a Google Calendar, and put, call John Doe at ABC Association. It's just, when they tell you to contact them at this date or that you got to really do it well. And a lot of people that are speakers, they get busy, they're off doing this, that, they forget, and they leave a lot of dollars and or opportunity on the table just because of their poor attention to follow up. Yeah, and it really isn't that hard. It just takes a modicum of work. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. And so what about getting speaking engagements? So the follow-up, we talked about that, and you gave a really good tip for that. So I know from following you that the article bank that you just mentioned on your website is a strategy. So will you explain how you use that?
Yeah, let me get to that. Let me start off by saying, if you're a person that's using speaking to grow your business, the Chamber of Commerce website in your city and the cities around you is your best friend, because you want to go to the Chamber of Commerce website and look up social organizations like the Rotary, like the Kiwanis, like the Sir Optimist, all those kinds of groups. And you want to reach out to those groups to try to speak. Now, okay, here's the hard part. If you say, hey, I'm a chiropractor and I want to talk to people about coming to my chiropractic practice, you're never going to get booked. Ain't going to happen. But if you're a chiropractor and say, let me talk to you about 7 tips for a holistic way to be healthier, wealthier, and have thinner thighs, or whatever it is that the chiropractor wants to put some kind of a benefit. And then the thing is too many business people want to launch into, hey, let me tell you about my business and why it's great. No. It's like, if you want to speak and get additional bookings in your community in a way that people will hear about you and be interested in you and maybe want to do business with you, then your presentation has to have a hook. It has to have a title. If you go to, and this might be a sexist statement, and I apologize if it is, but any women's magazine, you're always going to find an article on thinner thighs in 30 days. You're always going to find an article about better relationships and those kinds of things, because that's what the audience to those magazines cares about. So, think about, if you're a professional, what do the people in your community want? They want to be happier. They want to be healthier. They want to be wealthier. They want their life to be easier. And so talk about how what can make their life better. And then at the very end, you can talk about your practice. It's like you brought up articles. When you write an article, the article is for the reader. The bio is for the writer. So in your bio, you can put a little advertisement. But I remember one time I was at a speakers, one of the speakers chapters in Wichita or Kansas or somewhere. And this guy was a chiropractor. And we were doing an article writing workshop. And he's going through his article, outline stuff. And I said to the guy, would you like me to show you why that will never be published? And the guy's really getting pissed. He goes, what do you mean? I go, that wasn't an article. That was an advertisement. Everybody's going to say, if you want an advertisement, pay $2,500 for a quarter page in our magazine. Yeah. If you want to write an article that's going to help our readers, well, then write an article that's going to help our readers. I've gotten a lot of business over the years, paid business, through writing articles that help people. I have on my website, rigsbee.com, Rigsbee, or Riggs and a bumblebee. You can go and on your website where you have blog, I don't have blog, I have that changed to Article Bank. Yeah. And there's probably a couple hundred articles there. There's written permission. And, I want to be an editor's best friend. Here's permission 24/7 to use my articles. Here's permission to reasonably edit my articles, whatever that means. It's like if an editor, is looking for a 600-word article and they see a 700-word article on my website, yeah, sure, tighten it up. I don't care. Yeah. I mean, they just make me look smarter than I am. They do. And so like all of my articles next to the title have a word count. So that way an editor can really quickly go, oh, that sounds interesting. Oh, it's 800 words. Oh, I can tighten that up a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool, it's fine. So, and then that's out there. And, the only thing I ask if they're going to electronically publish it, I ask for I like to say a live clickable hyperlink. I know that's triple redundant. I know it's all the same thing, but I love to say live clickable hyperlink. Just makes me feel good. And so if they're going to publish electricity, I just want a hyperlink to that article, or at least just to my website, because I'm going to get a little bit of Google juice. That's all.
Yeah. And so how will somebody get business?
You're going to love this. One day I had somebody from the Fleet Managers Association call me up. And they said, we read your article on partnering. Do you do presentations on partnering? I've written 3 books on partnering. I said, no, why do you bother me? No, I didn't say that. I said, of course. And they said, well, we want to talk to you about coming in and speaking at our board meeting, because we're trying to do a project with university for a certification and all that. And I said, yeah, happy to. And I said, by the way, how'd you find me? They said, oh, we found your article in Kitchen and Bath Magazine. I said, really? And they go, yeah. I said, okay, good. I'd never given my article to Kitchen and Bath Magazine. They found it on the website, found my permission to reprint, published it. Another industry found it. So it's the funniest thing when people are looking for somebody to present on or to be a consultant on this. There's a little. You got to do some Google work. You got to do some SEO Google juice work. And so the more your printed articles are in the hands of people, that's good. Mm-hmm. The more your electronically published articles are on people's website. And think about it. If an association has your article on their website, association websites Google looks at as high authority. Yeah. Because there's a lot of content, a lot of people going in and out looking at stuff. It's a high authority website. So if they've got a link to just my homepage from their website, then I get more Google juice for that, because it's from a high authority website linked to my website. Yeah. And it's funny, people find me. Now, as far as the quicker, better, faster way to get bookings, it's like, let's say one of your members or somebody, I'll just use California. Okay, I live in California. I live in Southern California. In Northern California, up in Sacramento, outside of Sacramento, is the California Society of Association Executives. Well, I can go to their website, I can noodle around, find their members, and find a lot of associations, or I can also do Google searches for associations in California. And but you got to look at, well, wait a minute, just speaking an association may or may not get you what you want. So like if it's an association of community managers that run all the HMOs, okay, they're local, that might not be a bad place. But if it's, the California Association of Dog Catchers, well, that may or may not be where you want to put your time. And so it depends on what they want to do. And for people that want to go deeper into a particular industry and go down that rabbit hole, yeah, you start at the state associations in your state. Whether you Google search, associations in and just put the state, or whether you go to that state's Society of Association Executives and noodle around on their website. Because usually, if you go to the Society of Association Executives, you noodle around their website, hit the about, then you go down, find staff or leadership. Leadership is usually the volunteer leaders. They're all association executives, bingo. Or if you want to get known real well in a particular industry, maybe that industry has a Society of Association Executives, and you find that industry Society of Association Executives, and that would be all the state executive directors. You go to their meeting, you speak at their meeting, you start getting known. So it depends on if you want to go geographically or if you want to go industry. So depending on what people do, it's if I were consulting with a person, or if one of your members were in my community, and we were doing the I like to call assimilation call, and talking to them about their strategy, it would be always a little different depending on what the person's trying to achieve. So that it's not always the same recommendation for different people.
And do you think people should have one signature talk that they then customize depending on the audience?
Well, let's go deeper. Needless to say, you have to have a minimum of one, but it's the world is evolving, and somebody that just does a really good motivational kind of a talk, okay, you can go to a Rotary meeting, but you're not going to get any business out of it. Yeah. So what you have to look at is, what is my expertise? What do I know that people need? How can I share that expertise in a way that makes their life better, in a way that it's easy for them to understand, adopt, and execute? And then, if somebody's got to talk like that, and it's got to be a little bit humorous, and it's got to be fun. It's just like, look, we're chit-chatting here, and I'm telling you how to do things, but I throw a couple jokes in here or there, a couple, humorous statements just to lighten it up, just for fun. And you want to be engaging as a speaker. And so, if you're teaching people in an audience how to do what it is that that's going to help them, you're going to get people coming to you after the talk and say, hey, I want to know more. Maybe we can do business with this or that or the other. And if you speak at a Chamber of Commerce, you'll get about 13 insurance people trying to sell you insurance.
Yeah. The financial advisors too.
Yeah, those guys too. So yeah, I just told 17 people today on LinkedIn, no thanks. But if you want to call it a signature talk, fine. But I would more look at it from the window of, do you have a talk where you can tell me what that's going to make my life better, and do it in a way that's fun, and do it in a way that's a little bit challenging, and do it in a way that kind of takes me and moves me from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. I mean, and then if you can move me to point B where you've hooked my interest, well, then I'm going to come up to you afterwards and talk and get your card or whatever, and want to know more, want to go to your website and engage. And it's like, and I tell people too, I mean, I'm not as big of a Facebook fan, and I'm not a big Instagram. I got criticized last night we have some friends visiting from Austria, and my wife is from Austria, and so younger guy, she goes, "Well, you need to follow me on Instagram so you know what's going on in my life." I go, "I don't care." Because I don't use Instagram, I use LinkedIn. But some people like Facebook. It just depends. It's if you want to influence business people, you need to play more on LinkedIn. If you want to be kind of like business to consumer, B2C, well, then you got to play on Facebook and on Instagram, those kinds of places. So it just depends. It's always a little different advice for what a person is trying to achieve. But effectively, have a good kick-ass talk where and here's the thing, Pat. If you really know your stuff, then it's really easy to do these kinds of talks.
Yeah.
You can do it on a napkin, 5 points that people need to know, from what I do, teach, understand. Yeah. Okay, which is the first, which is the second, which is the third, so forth. And, talk about it and add a little bit of humor in it and have a smooth transition or segue. A rough transition or a rough segue equals a rough speech.
Yeah, right.
And so a smooth transition equals a much smoother speech. And, if at the end of point one, if you can easily segue into point two, it's always much better.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. So do you have time for fun in your life?
Yeah. I before COVID, my wife and I were going skiing at least once a month. I had a lot of fun there. But post COVID, it's kind of things getting a little bit squirrely. And then all these darn groups I'm running now on LinkedIn kind of get in the way of skiing. I'm still, getting together with a lot of my friends for cigars, so that's a lot of fun. I gotta say, I have a lot of fun hanging with all my National Speakers Association friends. I have even more fun hanging around with all my cigar peg friends. Like, was it 3 weeks ago? I've lost track. We did that mastermind in Las Vegas. What a hoot, putting on an event. And even though I have to kind of be somewhat sober and run the meeting and herd cats, that's what putting on a speaker meeting is, herding cats. It's a hoot. And then the summer at the speakers convention, when I'm going to be putting on the Cigar Pig party and hosting the suite. And, that's a lot of fun. I've evolved to where, maybe I'm in a really cool place, or maybe I'm just really boring, one of the two. I don't know which it is, but a lot of the things that I do that it's kind of my business is my fun.
Yeah.
I really do have fun doing these kinds of interviews. I really do have fun running the society and association speaker community. I really do have fun running the Cigar Peg. And there's other things too that I like to do that when I have time, I go do it. Although, right now I'm on a major honeydew project because I'm going to be 70 in August, and just for all of you guys, August 31st, just send the gifts. But so I'm having just a big open house birthday party on August 27th, and this is probably going to date this video, and so 3 years from now, nobody's going to care. But so like I was trying to find a venue. This one venue I wanted, where you could have cigars, and I couldn't find it. So I finally said to my wife, "Why don't we just do the party at the house?" And she says, "Okay, that's fine, but."
Here's what has to be updated first.
There you go. But the whole deck in the front of the house has to be rebuilt. The deck that I built 40 years ago needs to be rebuilt. So I'm in the middle of my summer honeydew rebuilding my deck project. And no, I don't want it only to go 8 feet out. Now I want it to go 12 feet out. So that's my fun this summer. I do enjoy construction projects. I always have. Although I've kind of found A reality. When I was in my 30s, I was much stronger, I had a lot more energy, and I could work
Yeah.
more hours in a day. Now that I'm approaching 70, I'm not as strong. I don't have as much, vitality. I can't go all day. I can't just lift a beam myself. And it's like, oh my God, I'm getting old. Holy cow.
I, we just remodeled our cottage in Michigan, and my husband and I had that same reality in our face. But we have grandchildren, and they call me the boss lady, so
Well,
I send them off.
I have two grandchildren, a granddaughter who is 3 years old, and a grandson who's not even a year yet. So
Oh,
I'm
oh,
gonna have to wait a
oh.
few years to where I get free labor from those
Yeah,
kids.
really, I guess so, man.
Yeah. And my youngest son used to live close to me, but with everything that's been going on with real estate, he sold his house in Ventura for about double what he paid for it, took his money and ran, and he's now moved buying a place in Phoenix. And so like my
Yeah,
my, my
where's the
strongest
help?
son, who's my manual labor, moves
Yeah,
away. It's like, oh my
yeah.
God, this is terrible. This
No
is a
good.
crisis.
Yeah, right. Well, one thing I always ask everybody who's on with me is, what are three traits that you think that when you see somebody who exhibits these things, that they will soar to success? You know that they'll be able to do those things that you're suggesting that they do in order to achieve the results.
There's this old saying in Texas, and I'm not from Texas, I'm from Los Angeles, but the old saying is all hat, no cattle. And and
I never heard that before, but I get it.
all hat, no cattle. There's I meet people that, how can I say this? They're full of hot air. They're telling me everything they can do, and they just don't do it. It's I learned from my friend Michael LaBeouf, who is an author of many books. My favorite of his book was The Greatest Management Principle. But anyway, one day Michael and I were talking on the phone, and this was years ago, probably 30 years ago, and I was struggling. And he says, Ed, it's about persistence. It's about persistence. If you keep showing up and you keep showing up and you keep showing up, I will tell you that you don't have to be the absolute best marketer. You don't have to be the absolute best speaker, but you do have to be the absolute best at persistence. Show up, show up, show up, show up. Don't talk about it. Do it. I mean, and I think that probably the greatest trait are the people that just don't gas on. They just get out there and they do. And the people that it's a combined, we could call it 1 and 2 traits, but it's a combined trait. They do, but they keep doing. You've seen the person that they're kind of like a 110 watt or volt light bulb on 220 volts. They shine bright for about 3 seconds and they burn out. I've seen so many people, they go at such an extreme speed, and they have one success, and then it's like they're the one hit wonder. Yeah, and they don't get anything done past that. So it's maybe be a little bit more methodical, and understand that it in this speaking business, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Mm-hmm. And it successes build on successes, build on successes, build on successes. And if you say, well, I just got to get out there and I got to book 50 speeches in a week. Well, okay, but you're going to have cauliflower on your ear, because you're not going to get off that phone for and so I think that it's that, and I think also it's really somebody that likes people. Mm-hmm. I like people. I like all kinds of people. I don't care, what your politics are, what your gender is, what your origin is, I don't care. I like people. And if you're a cool person, I like people. If you're a jerk, I don't like you. But I like people, and so I tend to gravitate to people, and as such, I think that I probably have a little bit more compassion. I mean, I joke around saying that I don't care, but I care, but there's certain things I don't care about, or things that just aren't that important to me. But I think that you got to do and not talk about it.
Mhm.
You gotta be persistent, and you got to care about people.
Yeah.
And I think if you do those, the success and the money and everything else will come. It's like, at the end of the day, when you're on your deathbed, oh crap, I wished I could have made an extra $300 in my life. Or is it, wow, I'm really glad that I was blessed with so many friends and helped so many people and made a difference. Because I think what happens is, depending on age, and probably more for me and for baby boomers, is when we get to a certain level in life, we've had a lot of success and we've enjoyed success, and now we want to move from being simply successful to being significant.
Yeah.
We want to move from just doing to also leaving footprints.
Yeah.
And because we start thinking about mortality and all those important things that, because we know we're not going to get out of this alive. So as we look at those things, we kind of evolve, and I think that for people that are looking for success, if you can do it at a pace that you can sustain it,
Yeah.
that's what not too many people can do. They burn themselves out, they fry themselves out, and they just can't do it.
Yeah.
Go a year
And when they are acting out of desperation too, they're just repelling everything when they're frantic about making something happen, I believe.
Yeah, that desperation is really obvious to people that book speakers. When you're at a place that you're really, really desperate, the meeting planners sniff it out, because they know that all you're going to do is try to sell.
Yeah, right.
So I guess I would try to get anybody that wants to use speaking as a way to grow their business, or use speaking as a way to derive income. Just remember, the speech is for the audience.
Mm-hmm.
The bio is for you. So make your speech something of valuable. Make your speech something of value, and don't make it a sales fest. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't interject a little thing here and there. Like if I'm speaking to a Rotary group, and if I were to say, if I was doing some consulting in a business like yours, here's what I'd tell you. Well, that's a subliminal way of letting them. It's not a sales pitch.
Yeah.
It's just a subliminal way of, because here's the funny thing, Pat. People aren't as smart as we give them credit for, because we go, oh, well, they'll figure out the translation. You got to put it right up in front of them and slap them upside the face a couple times to let them see it. So as a speaker, you've got to put a little bit of subliminal cues in there to let people know this products and the services and the thing you do. Don't blatantly sell, because that's going to not get you invited again. But influence. If you go to Robert Cialdi's book on influence, what is the 7 points, and you start looking at that and go, yeah, and looking at those ideas from like his book on influencing people rather than shoving it into their face. Yeah. I think that it's a better way to do it. Not for everybody, but it's the way I like to do it. Yeah. I'd rather kind of draw people to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you already mentioned your website, but say it again. What's the best way for people to reach you and learn?
Well, there's a few. Yeah, there's a few things, and just to really make this totally confusing to everybody. So if you go to my website, Rigsbee, RIGSBEE.com, there's all kinds of stuff, but you want to go in the navigation and look for my communities. Then we can find out, because there's a link to speakercommunity.org. Speakercommunity.org is my community of people that want to speak at associations and societies. There's also a link to the Cigar Peg website. Cigar Peg is the charity that I run. Then within that, we are doing Virtual Speakers Hall of Fame. So there's a link to virtualspeakershalloffame.org. So, there's just, right now we Pat got so many things going on that are kind of feeding each other. And every once in a while I kind of lose track of things, but it just makes it fun, because it's like when I'm hearing from speakers that showcase and then go on the Virtual Speakers Hall of Fame website in the directory, and I'm getting messages back that got a booking, great, and there was one group of 4 speakers from a showcase that association exec booked all 4 of them, paid them for the fee, and so not everything always leads to business. However, a lot of the things that I'm doing now are really helping speakers to kind of lead them there, to spoon feed them to where the business is. So,
okay, good.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been just delightful talking to you. So I appreciate that you took the time.
Absolutely. And, hopefully someday we'll do it again, or maybe some of the people that are watching this might want to jump into the Association and Society Speakers community, or if anybody from National Speakers Association is watching this, they might want to come to the Cigar Peg party every summer at the convention. Who knows? Who knows?
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Soar to Success podcast. For more insights into growing your business or improving your quality of life, visit soartosuccessmagazine.com and subscribe to the Soar to Success podcast on iTunes.